Well, hello guys, and welcome back to another Steven Universe review. In this episode, we'll be talking about Cheeseburger Backpack. Cheeseburger Backpack. Cheeseburger Backpack. Cheeseburger Backpack. I have a soft spot for this one. There are some things I like. Yeah. So the episode starts off with this is the first appearance of Jamie. We get to see him. He hasn't taken on his whole movie star persona yet, but he's just the mailman, and he's delivering a package to Steven, right? Simple, nothing special there. The Crystal Gems show back up, and they had this, they're covered in feathers. Amethyst has a giant bird egg, and they're like, oh, we had to fight a bird to get the moon goddess statue. I do want to bring up something here. I think this counts as a continuity error, but don't quote me on that, because there may be some stuff they haven't explained. So, the Crystal Gems say they got the moon goddess statue by fighting off a bird. But my problem here is, in the episode Buddy Book, Buddy records the moon goddess statue in his journal, and we know he recorded it at the Sea Spire Temple, because he also recorded the larva on the same page. So my question is, between the events of Buddy Book and now, how did the moon goddess statue go from the Sea Spire to in the hands of that bird? What happened and what changed? I think it's just a simple continuity error, but, I could be missing something here. There could be something they haven't explained and probably never will explain. Yeah, back on point. Pearl talks about Sea Spire. Now, we know what spires are, because they're havens for gems. They're a place for thinkers to think, if bismuth is any indication. So we know, right, they're havens. I'm just assuming I don't know what would be the best to compare them to. Not a library, but more just a place for people to gather around and spread ideas. I can't give you a good comparison. But yeah, so Steven asks, can he go on the mission? And he brings out his Cheeseburger Backpack, which is from Wacky Sacks. I like the idea behind this. I also like the fact that the Cheeseburger Backpack, I know they did actually do this, and this was a great idea. You can actually buy a Cheeseburger Backpack. That's great marketing right there, if you know what I mean. So, right, he has to go along the mission, and he goes and starts packing stuff into the backpack, and he just packs all sorts of stuff, makes his room a mess, and they're like, can we just get going, right? So they leave. There's this really weird joke with the warp pad where he has to suck in his gut. That was weird, okay. And then they get to the Sea Spire. Steven almost dies. Pearl grabs him, right? But I do want to point out something. I've been kind of avoiding this for the past few episodes, but I think it's time to bring it up now. The animation in these first few episodes is a little weird. It's not exactly bad. It's just weird. It's more, how do I put this? More exaggerated? And I mean, it kind of does work. But I know, right, later on down the line, they do kind of smoothen out the animation a little bit. The best thing I can compare it to is, one of the first, season 1 or 2 of The Simpsons. But yeah, the animation's just weird. It just feels off compared to later episodes. But they do fix it. And I'm not really going to hold it against the episode because it still looks fine. So, right, they can't get into the Sea Spire because it sucks stuff down, right? It's Whirlpool. So Steven does the whole climbing the walls with a rope thing. That works. That's really cool. This entire thing, it's about his ideas, right? Because we learn later on that this is kind of Steven's test, right? Opportunity. And I kind of like how he's just, he doesn't know it's a test, but yet he's still doing pretty good. A lot of his ideas are working. So, right, they're going through the temple, and they find out there's these crystal shrimp living in the temple, and Steven's able to throw bagels at them and get them out of the way. And it's just oh, I just think like a shrimp. Okay. So they get to a thing of raging water, and they can't do anything, so Steven pulls out a raft, throws it into the river, it just floats off. That's funny. So Garnet just punches their way across, and they start climbing the Sea Spire. We see them climbing the outside of the Sea Spire, and that's a great looking shot. The outside of the Sea Spire looks really nice. And, I may complain about the animation, but they still have shots like this. So I can't really complain too much. So they get to the top of the Sea Spire. Steven goes to pull out the moon goddess statue, and he doesn't have it. He left it back at the temple. So he pulls out Mr. Queasy, and they go place him on the pedestal. He starts lifting up, and it looks like it might work. it explodes. There goes the thing, and the Sea Spire starts to collapse. But at first I was like, why would the Sea Spire collapse? I mean, I know it's falling apart, but that's not really how architecture works. And while watching it, I realized the Sea Spire doesn't collapse like the building. The water collapses, and when the water collapses, it brings the building down with it. So that's how the Moon Goddess statue is just holding back the water. So they're just left it right. They survive, right? They're just floating on the ocean. The raft appears, they get on it, and now they got a 3-mile ride back home, or a 3-hour paddle back home. Again, I do like parts of this episode. There are some things that feel a bit off, but for the most part, I think it's a good episode. But I hope you all enjoyed, and until next time, peace.